All right, enough of this fake optimism. I'm about to tell you why you cannot trust Trent Baalke to bring this team to glory. You just can't. And I apologize in advance, but I gotta hurt people's feelings. I'll do it here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Locked On Jaguars. I am the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast. My name is Tony Wiggins, and this is the Locked On Jaguars podcast, where it's your team every day. And we always thank you for making us your first listen. A quick reminder, we are free to subscribe to on our YouTube page. That is Locked On Jaguars. Make sure when you get there, you hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell so you get notifications each and every time we drop an episode. And then wherever you listen to your audio podcast, make sure you check out that location everywhere so you don't miss an episode. Shout out to the everydayers for joining us every day, and you can be an everydayer too. All you got to do is just join us every single day. I have been an optimist. I have been trying to be positive. I have been really doing my absolute best to lay off of Trent Baalke since I knew that he was going to be retained. Once I found out he was going to be retained and this organization was not going to get a reset, I laid off. Can't do it. I'm going to tell you why you can't be trusted. Segment 2, I tried to be optimistic. We're going to continue that discussion of the why he can't be trusted, why I can't be optimistic, and why I changed my mind. Franchise needs a reset again. I'm not going to put it off until 2025. I think they need a reset again, not necessarily with Doug Peterson. I just don't think this is going to work with Trent Baalke. So let me get right to it. We're in combine season. We are in getting ready for free agency season, and I'm going to go through a list of things. We don't even have to go to the 49ers and Harbaugh and all of that stuff. We're just going to sit right here, and I'm going to tell you why. I never had optimism, but I laid off for a little while, but why you can't trust him. First of all, I saw a graph today that really described Trent Baalke's ability to draft well in the draft Pro Bowlers, right? In the draft in 2 organizations, and he hasn't done a real good job of it. This is more about his mannerisms, my source, who I trust, and I'm not going to tell you who it is, that as much as Trent Baalke tells y'all that he leaves the coaching up to Doug Peterson, that it's a lie. It's just not true. Guys get played where he wants them to play. That's dangerous. The other thing is Trent Baalke is the number 1 football operations person on the team, which a lot of times the GM is. But usually there's checks and balances because sometimes the team president is also a football guy. In this case, Mark Lampin is a businessman who I really respect. Shad Khan ain't here most of the time, and he delegates all the authority to Trent, right? Who's holding him accountable? Nobody. And Trent Baalke spends time on the practice field, walking in between players, clapping and patting them on the back. And a lot of y'all that's, not familiar with the way this works probably thinks, well, he's the general manager. He can do what he wants to do. In my time here in Jacksonville, I've never seen a GM do that. And I've seen all of the other GMs. The word I got was that even other people from other organizations have heard about this stuff and they think it's absolutely ridiculous. In fact, my source told me that one player told him, we never see our GM. By the way, that player played for a team that won a Super Bowl in the last 5 years. So the more I tried to be optimistic and positive, but then you find out little stuff about what's happening, it makes you actually look at the factual stuff. So I ain't gonna talk about any more of that stuff. I'm going to deal with the factual stuff and why he can't be trusted. Because he sits right when he's at these press conferences. He sat right there and he told y'all things. And you know what? You can draw whatever conclusion you want to draw. But for me to come on right now when I'm in full draft mode and tell you this, Oh, yeah, Wig talked to people. And it's a conversation that I had to get around to. I don't think he knows what he's doing at all. I really don't. I think as much as Trent comes out with his raspy voice and he tells you, I leave all of that to the coaches, that's a coaching decision. And as much as he tells you, you know, these decisions are group decisions, that is a bunch of hogwash. I guarantee you won't get anybody over there that believes that doesn't think they'll lose their job if they tell you the truth, that has the knowledge that will tell you that he is not lying. I bet you they won't tell you he's not lying. I mean, I bet you they won't tell you he's lying if they're afraid to lose their job. I bet you they won't. Credential be damned. I don't care nothing about that. And hopefully, if they petty enough to want to say that I can't come to the games no more for telling the truth, then fine. But I lead a podcast for a bunch of people every single day that listen to me for honesty. And I almost felt complicit once I had these discussions over the last 2 days. I almost felt complicit in leading the blind to slaughter by trying to be optimistic, by trying to say, you know what, he's the GM. We need to just let all of that stuff go. Don't worry about it, man. Just let it go. So what I'll do now, with a renewed sense of what the hell were you thinking, Wig, I'm going to point out some stuff to you. And this ain't a bunch of stuff that you don't already know. I'm going to point out some things to you that shows you that Trent Baalke doesn't have any accountability. Now, first and foremost, who would he be accountable to? Shad Khan. So he's going to be involved. He's going to be accountable to somebody for whatever reason is kind of invisible. And now, look, that's not a put down, because a lot of people that I talk to prefer that the owner doesn't meddle. But I want you to take this up and to figure this out for size. We are losing a fight. There's a fight amongst 32 people. It's like the Royal Rumble. There's 32 different franchises. And outside of Dave Tepper, we are the only, and the Carolina Panthers, we appear to be the only, now that Dan Snyder's gone, we appear to be the only franchise that has a dude in the Royal Rumble that has a hand tied behind his back. There is no way from an organizational standpoint that before they ever play one game that this team is ever going to be better than maybe a dozen teams, even on their best day. And that's because those organizations have a hierarchy. They have a structure. They have combined efforts of people who work well with others, who delegate authority very well, that stay in their lane, and that don't have players that'll look you in your face like people looked me in my face and told me, I ain't got no problem with the coaches. The problem is that GM. Yeah. To have people to say that, to have people give me accounts of things that happen when media, they aren't around. It is football malpractice with some of the things that have happened. I trust my source when he tells me if they offered Josh Allen an extension last year that would be way less than what he's going to ask for now, that he would have signed it. Football malpractice. What other player plays through his fifth-year option? And I got to make a correction on myself. And anybody who's watched my podcast in the past will know, and you can dig this up. I've always said that. Yesterday, I put out a little snippet, a promo, saying that Josh didn't get his fifth-year option covered. He actually did. He didn't play on the franchise tag last year because they gave it to Evan Ingram. So Josh last year played on his fifth-year option. What I meant to say was no other player that the team sits there and tells you that they love, that plays that position, that does the things that Josh Allen did last year, is sitting here asking for money, or sitting here playing on a tag, or had to actually play through their fifth-year option. That's what I meant to say. You don't look at the TJ Watt and all that. TJ didn't have one because I don't think he's a first-round pick. But all of these dudes that that are the alphas of their team, they didn't get to that point. I know for good report that that Trent Baalke has told people that Josh isn't the number one, that he's the number two. I know that and I believe it. I wasn't there, but I'm going to tell you what people told me. I've had multiple people, not just media people, tell me that they heard that come out of his mouth before. So while y'all sitting here thinking that Josh is the number one, in Trent's eyes, he's not. And I told you yesterday, they don't love that kid, which is why I said that, because I knew then what I know now. But it even got validated, and it didn't even need it, to the point where it's a little bit worse than I thought. But we all forget because we're in mode. We're in off-season mode, and I want to kick myself now because I stopped kicking at him. I'm going to apologize to you, Jaguar fans. I shouldn't have. He deserves everything that anyone says about him. And I'm telling you right now, as one of the worst franchises over the last 10 years in sports, the worst winning percentage, there is no way that a guy like that is going to ever lead this team to anything higher than where they are now, or maybe just a little bit better than that. You can't win a championship with him being the sole voice, the only voice, and the one making all of the decisions for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to give you more of this in just a second on Locked On Jaguars. Got to let you know about Nissan, man. If you are an adventurous person and you're the kind of driver that likes to push things a little bit further, you ever wonder what adventure could be around the corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs that you absolutely would not believe, man. And I'm telling you, they have different kinds for everyone, and you can be a part of that. That's right. Nissan is the absolute truth when it comes there. What about the Rogue, man? The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives. And you got a 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system that has all of your stuff. It's class exclusive Google built-ins, and you don't have to worry about Google Assist, Google Maps, Google Play, and all that other stuff. Google Me, Google that. No, it's all included. How about that 2024 Armada? If you need something bigger, it would change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style, tow bigger, and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, Nissan Armada, and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Segment number 2 here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. We always thank you for making us your first listen. I have to remind you that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Hopefully there's some fire podcast for you. It's not clickbait. I don't do that. This is just me feeling bad before I talk to some of the usual suspects and people that I get information from, and some that I normally don't, and realizing that I have been trying to be positive and optimistic about Trent Baalke, much to my chagrin, because this ain't personal. It's not personal at all. I criticized Dave Caldwell way worse than I criticized Trent Baalke. And some would argue that I did it on a bigger platform, but yet and still, Dave had enough respect, and I had enough respect for him as human beings, that we face-to-face and developed a little bit of a relationship, right? I speak to Trent every time I see him. I speak to Shad every time that I see him. And I'm cool with that because I can look him dead in the eye and tell him the truth, and I won't hide anything that I say. But I'm dead serious. The record speaks for itself. Trent Baalke made a drastic mistake last year when he thought this team was built. You know why he thought this team was built? Because he built it. That's why. Do you know that Trent Baalke sits here and says that this team is not physical, not big enough, not strong enough? And the reason why he can look you in your face and say that, and I'm going to take a guess here, and not feel like it is absolutely his fault, but he can sit there and tell you the obvious. I call it telling the truth and hiding in plain sight of the truth. Like you tell the truth and people give you more credit for being honest than they should be giving you credit for the fact that the truth that you just told is your fault. That man looked y'all right in the face and told y'all ain't nothing wrong with Luke Fortner. Luke's a good football player. That man gave Roy Robinson Harris a contract extension, Devon Hamilton a contract extension, but yet still you can't extend Josh Allen before it's too late. That man waited until 3 weeks after the season was over to talk to the media when every other team had already had their GM talk to the media. Because no one makes him do anything. He drafted Brenton Strange last year when this team needed help in multiple areas, and tight end wasn't one of them because you franchise the tight end. You franchise a tight end and then use a second-round pick on another tight end. And y'all think that's okay with a team with all of these holes in it that this team has right now. It's a shame. It's an absolute shame. In my opinion, Doug Peterson had to fire coaches that he probably didn't want to fire. He hired them in the first place. But I think Doug Peterson, who might only get 2 shots at being a head coach, stood on a flag for a bunch of guys in Philly and he got fired for it. And we expect him to do it again. Nah, ain't nobody mad at Doug about that. Not any of us. But I am mad at a man standing there lying to you and telling you that he leaves all of the coaching up to the coaching. And when asked why it was important for him to sit in, I believe someone asked him why did he sit in on the meetings with the new defensive coordinator when he was getting a job interview. I would have been perfectly fine if he said, "Well, I'd just like to know what kind of players he wants so I can go get them." It doesn't matter what Ryan Nielsen wants. Trent Baalke is going to get whatever he wants Ryan Nielsen to have. That's what he did to the last staff. You think he let them have any input on who he wanted to get in the draft? I got good report that a whole bunch of people had their lip poked out after day 2 of the draft last year, guys that scouted for a living. Trent Baalke is really sitting here playing in your face, and he's playing house with this franchise, all of your emotions. Maybe he is bro dog on Twitter. Maybe he does have a bunch of interns or whoever watching what everyone says on Twitter, and he knows what everyone says. You got way more important things to do than be worrying about us. What about the players in the building? You don't think that somebody's told me that after practice is over and he's trying to help them and tell them something that they need to be doing, and them sitting here telling them themselves in their head, bro, get out of my face. If you don't have a whistle, you know who you need to be talking to. If you have a tie on or a suit, you need to be talking to that guy's agent. You ain't got nothing to do with that player at this point, in my opinion. Not to give Urban Meyer any credit, because Urban Meyer deserved everything that he got and the hit to his reputation and all of that for all of that lying and sneaky stuff that he was around here doing. But when Urban says I was set up, who you think he's talking about? He's talking about Littlefinger. That's who he's talking about. When Trent Baalke sits here and tells you that this team ain't big enough and strong enough, and he does it with a straight face, do you know he's kind of telling you? He's kind of telling you, well, we had the strength and conditioning coach, but y'all kind of made us get rid of him. Don't think for 1 minute that was all Urban Meyer and Trent Baalke disapproved of him being hired. No, what he disapproved of the guy leaving here. It's just got to the point, man, where I can't play in y'all's face any longer. You spend your hard-earned money, you spend your emotions on this football team, and here you are right now in another offseason expecting the incompetent GM that he is running this organization like he's playing dynasty football on a John Madden game. And I'm setting this up because I'm staking my reputation on this. they are going to be an epic failure again very soon if they allow that man to continue to run this organization. And I'm dead serious. I tried to be optimistic. And I know there's somebody out there that's going to say, spill the beans, Wig, tell us. I ain't telling you nothing. I ain't never lied to you about stuff like this. If you think I'm just putting it out of air, you're crazy. I'm going to talk to my man, John Shipley, when he comes back. I think John's off with his wife getting prepared for their beautiful future. But maybe after the combine is over with, I'm going to talk to him. And we're going to talk about the fact that they could have had coaches, offensive coaches, come here. Didn't happen. And I got a news flash for you. Aside from the first 15 plays every game, Press Taylor has called his offense for 2 years. Try that one on and go over there and ask somebody, since so many people say that they're connected, go over there and ask them. They might not tell you the truth because they ain't really none of your business. It's counterintuitive for them to say it, but I'm going to tell you right now, everybody around here, press this, press this, press this. No, press the stop button on that foolishness. Doug Peterson, they script the plays and Doug calls the first 15, he's calling them. After that, he's saying, what are we doing here? And that's been that way. It wasn't just last year, it was the year before that. It was in Philly too, even when they won the Super Bowl. All right. So what I'm telling you is things are never what you think they are. And the number one culprit isn't accountable because no one's holding them accountable for it. Every headache you have on this team starts and stops with that GM over there. And whether y'all want to believe it or not, I can't make you. But in the third and final segment, I'll tell you why this franchise needs an absolute reset, because this is going nowhere. I literally see 50,000 people walking towards quicksand, and I'm trying to stop it. I'll tell you why in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. If you're ever in a situation where you need some therapy, there's no better place to go, in my opinion, than BetterHelp. I have been there, man. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to not be able to get yourself out of situations mentally, psychologically. You're down and you're trying to figure it out. And some of the things that you're used to doing to boost yourself up aren't working. Try therapy. It works. It worked for me. I'm to the point now where I use therapy even before things go wrong, just to keep myself on the square that I want to be on. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team and our GM, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. Third, final segment here on Locked On Jaguars. We're at your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. Combine times next week. And then after that, we get into some free agency. However, before that, we got to figure out how we're going to wrap sanity around our little brain so it doesn't explode. Because sometimes I feel like I got a wet blanket around my head sitting here thinking about how can I tell people that they're being led astray. Good luck working a trade on during the draft and not getting fleeced, by the way. Ain't nobody going to be going out of their way to help Trent Baalke. And people putting out this information that this narrative is that he's not disliked around the league as much as y'all think. I just don't think people are thinking about him around the league as much as we think. This man is not good at his job. It's one thing to sit in front of the media and have a situation where it's need to know. But it's another thing to frame things as if we did this and we did that. And you watch this team. When I sit here and I have these conversations with fans and I say, we don't need a center. Yes, we do. We need a center right away. Well, the GM says the center they have is fine. If you want to start thinking about things to get angry at, he picked him. Luke Fortner was chosen by Trent Baalke. Every player that you want them to get rid of that has been here the last 3 years was chosen by Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke looked at a draft board and decided that Brenton Strange was better than a whole bunch of other people. I don't even want to pull the draft up because I hate doing it after 1 year, and I want Brenton Strange to be successful. I want all of those kids to be successful. It's not his fault where he got picked. And we expect him to do something different. When he's asked stuff about this guy and that guy, he's asked about an edge. Rick Ballou, my former colleague on radio station, asked him about edge rushers. It seemed like it was a year too late for me and my takes because you just had two guys both get double-digit sacks. But it was a question that Trent never answered, so I applaud Rick for at least bringing it back up. And he said, who are you talking about that was out there? You knew who the free agents were. Why are you putting the onus on a dude to have a memory like that when he covers the team? But guess what? Rick started ripping names off. When asked if Josh Allen was going to be on the team, yeah, he'll be here. He's going to be a Jaguar. When asked if Cam Robinson was going to be on the team, I'm not getting into that. I ain't going to get into who's going to be here and who's not. You just did. I'm trying to woosah, man, but there's a lot of stuff that I can't tell you. There's a lot of stuff. Something has me riled up right now, though. I don't think if Trent Baalke was the GM that those coaches would have got fired. I don't blame Doug for doing what he has to do for self-preservation because that's what I told you, the CYA mentality and the cover your butt, and it's back. And it turns out it never went anywhere. When Urban tells you he was stabbed in the back, believe it. He probably should have been stabbed in the back, to be honest with you, but still, believe it. Believe it. Y'all call him Littlefinger, and it couldn't be. Y'all might be insulting Littlefinger when you call Trent Baalke Littlefinger. I am not doing this to poison your optimism because you're going to be optimistic. I don't care. I almost said something. I don't care if Kermit the Frog is running that team. You're going to be optimistic, right? You are. And this is water I'm drinking, by the way, because I can't do nothing else right now. But I want you to just watch. Watch the draft. I know you're going to make yourself love the picks. Everybody's going to love the first pick because that's what we do. I want you to watch the draft. I want you to watch free agency. And when you do that, I want you to ask yourself, if you honestly know, I'm betting my money that he is going to do something that is going to tick y'all off. When people tell me, look, man, they got some pretty decent players, but the bottom line is it starts at the top. And the dude that's running your organization, stand him and stick him side by side with the litany of other people that run these organizations and how they do it and how they go about their business. Did you see any assistant GMs from Jacksonville get a job last year? Or what about the year before that? Did you see the director of college scouting from here get hired anywhere else to do anything? But you see all these other teams getting GMs yanked from all over the place, assistant GMs getting pulled from all over. You've seen 3 or 4 of those dudes from the 49ers get jobs. You've seen 3 or 4 of those dudes from Baltimore get jobs. You've seen guys get jobs from other teams, and you didn't even know who they were. Why do you think nobody's coming here to get people to get them a job? Don't worry, I'll wait. It's one voice. It's one man. And he's running all of this stuff. But he's not taking the blame for anything, even the stuff that his responsibility that he sits here and he tells you is his responsibility. And then a few years back, Shad was saying, we're talking to the league, I'm considering getting a senior executive vice president. Oh, no, never mind. I'm not going to do it. It seems like Trent's doing a good job. That was your death knell when you had nobody making him accountable for what he was doing. Watch. Try me by what you see over the next 2 months and tell me I told a lie. No lies told here on Locked On Jaguars. And one of the things I want to tell you that's the absolute truth of you, the fans, and I appreciate you tuning in every single day, making us your team every day, and thanking you all for making us your first listen. I'll see y'all, man. Y'all have a nice weekend. Take care of yourself. Get ready for the combine next week. It ain't gonna matter as long as Trent Baalke running his team. It doesn't matter.